This is the hardcore icon, Just Incredible, and you're listening to the 3 Count Podcast. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best, the 3 Count Podcast. Well, that, my friends, is just incredible.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, high pass, we find that drag ball at.
Welcome everybody to
Now
another
into
great
the
edition of
ring.
the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, this man who leads you up that mountain called wrestling. You can call me your Sherpa. You should call me your Sherpa. Actually, you should call me your great Sherpa because I keep bringing you guys all these awesome interviews. But it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring because you got to find a Sherpa out there who's been there, done that, and probably can do it more efficiently than you can. So like I said, it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So this person right here, she is the co-founder / booker of HWT. Welcome her here. Her name is Morgan.
Hello.
I am super hyped having you on our show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. So we met a couple back on September 11th, actually, a part of HWT, as I mentioned. And I have to say, like, we've had like so many conversations like before the shows, right? That genuinely, I was like, I cannot wait to get here and work.
It was a lot of fun having you there. That's for sure. You were a very big asset for us that day.
Yeah, and genuinely, like once, I know I said it on the show, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Thank you just for having me on. It was just a lot of fun.
Well, you're welcome. And you showed that you had heart. That's why I put you in the next, 4-way match for that title.
And yeah, so if you guys don't know, go check it out, youtube.com. Go check out Hostile Wrestling Takeover. And that's where you're going to see your boy putting down the victories because that's what happens. But I have more important questions to ask. First, Morgan, who are you?
Well, I'm Morgan LeFay. I am a founder and also, as you call it, the booker of Hostile Wrestling Takeover. I've actually been in the business for 15 years now, on and off. So, I like wrestling. I shouldn't say I like it. I love it because if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So,
and you've been through like so many different facets of like each generation and there's like each era that's kind of come before. And so you've seen like all the transitions from it, right? So I'm very curious, like, how did you get into wrestling?
It's funny that you say that because my ex-husband was getting into it and he's like, hey, babe, why don't you become my manager? I'm like, okay, no problem. So I started doing the managing thing. And then I had another person say, well, you should be wrestling along with everybody else. You're really good. You listen well. And you just need to be in the ring. So that's when I started to really do my fair share of bumping and grinding in the ring kind of thing.
It's funny because like I cut that promo like and the fun to full transparency, right? I was at Chaz's wedding. He's the host of our debate show. So I'm at Chaz's wedding and I was like, I want to cut this promo, but I got to do it in like the most comedic fashionable way. And I'm in a tuxedo and there's no way I'm not going to cut a promo in a tuxedo. And I did it in a full British accent. And then then you came to me and I was like, I immediately feel terrible about this, but I know this promo is like hilarious. I was like, I just didn't have the wherewithal to be like, you know what, I probably shouldn't do this.
Well, it's actually kind of funny that you said that because as I watched it, I was like, oh, he's trying to be a James Bond.
Yeah.
Where's your girl's James Bond? And it's nothing bad because you actually did a pretty good accent. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But I was like, oh, because like I love Wade Barrett, right? So Stu Bennett, and like listening to him talk, I was like, I feel like that's something that I could like pull from. And so like I watched I don't know. I've watched endless promos of Stu Bennett, and I was like
Oh, right.
just trying to practice like getting it down right. And so every once in a while, when people would be like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you." So it turns on. I could turn it on and off. But yeah, Wade Barrett was like the whole inspiration behind why I even started to try a British accent.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because somebody's like, "Oh, what are you trying to be, Sean Connery?" I was like, no, he's actually Australian.
Yeah.
I'm British. Hello?" And they're like, "Oh, what's the difference?" I'm like, there's a big difference. If you listen to how he talks and you listen to how I talk, there's a very big difference.
So, yes, there is. There's a massive difference. Just
Just a
even
little bit.
yeah, I mean, just even between like the islands in the UK, like you could definitely tell like between like Britain and Scotland and Ireland and even North Ireland, I know, and then Wales, like they're all different. There's no, you got to get an education, okay? Just because you live in America does not mean that everybody knows what you know, and clearly that person has no idea what they're talking about either.
Exactly. I was like, whatever. She goes, what's this mean? What's that mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you what wanker means. Not gonna tell you. If you don't know, not telling you. She goes, well, what does bollocks mean? I said, bollocks means what the hell? Oh, bollocks, come on. I know that Americans have different lingos than us, but
Yeah.
hey, we're all together, regardless.
So you said you've been in all facets of the business, and even as a manager. I'm very curious though. What's been like one of the worst bumps you've taken?
Actually, it was really funny because I trained in what they call a low boy. And my trainer at the time did not tell me, oh, you've got to exhale as you hit the mat. I hit that mat and I'm like, and he's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, you've got to breathe out. I'm like, you prick. Now you tell me I'm telling you, I hate working in low boys because it's not very giving.
Mm-mm.
Um, and it's really bad. I mean, I've worked in low boys. I've worked in 16 inches, 14 inches, 18. The bigger the ring, the cushier it is. I'm just gonna say.
It's true. It's true. And then the one thing I definitely love about everybody's ring, regardless of where it's at, is they're all different. Like, and it was
Right.
something like me and a couple other fellows have always talked about is that like, you should go around and test the ring because sometimes, one top rope may be lower than what you're familiar with. So like if you hit it and you hit wrong, you're gonna feel the whiplash and you should be testing those rings out. So everybody's always telling me like, slap the ring, see how it sounds, and then get in, hit the ropes a couple times because everything feels different. And I realized that when I was at one show in Pennsylvania and I was at their ropes and I was like, oh, this rope sits a little low, like on the top rope. So I had to like arch my, lower down a little bit to hit it right. And then
Right.
the next day I was at training and those ropes were hitting me just normal. And then the next day I was at another event and those ropes, like the middle rope was really, really tight, but the top rope and the bottom rope were super loose. And then the mat was stiff. Oh my God.
And well, another thing with that is that a lot of people don't realize that all rings are also done differently. Underneath, if you actually sit there and watch the rings being put up, I've wrestled in rings where it's got the slats side to side and it's got them vertically. It's all crazy. But the ring you were in on September 11th was Troy and Mark Mesh's ring, and I absolutely love their ring.
Yeah, I did. Like one of the ways I test out everybody's ring is I hit a dojo bump. And like that was the first, like I went through and did a dojo bump. I hit the ground. I was like, we're good. Let's go. It's like I'll bumping this all day.
Right, it's like bumping on a big cloud of pillows.
Right. It's funny because like my daughter wanted to learn how to bump for the first time, and full transparency on a couple days ago. And we had her bumping on 16-inch mats, right? Because obviously she's young. I don't want her like
Right. You don't want her to hurt herself.
right. And so crazy thing is that she hits like a perfect handstand bump. Weird. And we saw her do it like numerous times. And so we have, whenever guys come to, like, new kids come to the ring, they're like, we can't do this. I was like, I bet you I could find one person out there who can, and will show you how to do it perfectly. And they're like, show me. And I always pull my daughter into the ring. I'm like, hey, show me your handstand bump. And she does it every single time, falls the same way. And everybody
Is she in gymnastics at all?
no.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's kind of impressive.
She just has this natural ability to be able to do this. She's really good at it, and it's thrown us all off. We had no idea that she could do it. And so all the kids will be, I was like, look, if she can do it, y'all should be able to do this too. And then you start seeing them like, and then you'll start seeing them like hit their handstand bumps like perfect.
Right.
I'm like, all right, that's what it is. So we talked about one of the worst bumps about exhaling. That is important. Exhale. What's about one of the hardest times you've been hit?
I would actually have to say it was against a young lady that was she was a Latina, and she actually kicked me so hard that she left this humongous bruise on my hip. And I'm like, okay, there's a way to do it, and then there's a way to do it. I'm like, the way you did it was like I owed you money or something, and you literally were kicking the shit out of me. And I'm like, what did I do to piss you off that bad? And she's like, oh my God, did I really hurt you? And 2 days after the show, I literally had this thing on my hip, and I'm at the gym, and I forgot I had shorts on, and this guy goes, did your boyfriend kick your ass? And I was like, no, why? And he points down, and I was like, I did not, no lie, it was as black as my mug.
Oh man.
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I mean, I've been hit pretty bad a lot of times, but this one really caught me off guard, because I'm like, she was hitting me, but the way she was hitting me, it was just like, you would think it would be something like this, but no, it was like, okay, did I owe you money and you not tell me? I'm sorry. It's kind of weird, but I mean, you're going to get some of those workers out there that have a vendetta, and it's not against you per se, but they're going to take it out on you.
Yeah. I found that out. Some people out there know what happened. We'll talk about it afterwards.
All right.
So let's talk about what's been like one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in the sport as long as you've been in.
Not listening to those who have been in longer than you have and giving you the proper etiquette on how to do things, and basically just shut up and listen.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's important that we just.
Well, the thing is not everybody is going to train you the same way. I've had 3 separate trainers in my time. 2 trainers taught me a lot of good things, and then the 3rd trainer taught me a lot more than I actually really thought I would be able to do. And a lot of people don't also realize is, you hear people say, oh, well, wrestling's fake. No, it's not. It's a contact sport, just like boxing, MMA, or any of that. It's a contact sport. And you have to be able to entrust your opponent that they're not going to hurt you, that they know what the hell they're doing. And sometimes you get men or women, it doesn't matter, they say they know how to do it, but they don't do it. And it's absolutely bollocks, for the simple fact that stop watching WWE, Y2K video games, because that's shit. If you're not going to learn to do it, don't do it. Because if you hurt somebody, not only are you messing up their career, but it's also going to make you look like an absolute ass, because people are going to say, well, they're not going to work you because, one, you're too stiff. Two, you don't know how to work your opponent. That's why shut your mouth, do as you're told, not as you think you should do.
Yeah, it's funny because like you gave me like what was between you and Gabby Gilbert at the show, like I felt like I soaked in like so much knowledge just behind the scenes, right? And full transparent, we full transparent. One of the things that you talked about was like while we were in the ring and we were talking about the title and debuting it, right? Is that I wasn't showing enough facials, and it's something like I took to heart because I was like, oh, that's something I really enjoy doing, was like being like animated and super hyped, but I guess and at that time, like I just wasn't thinking about it. But like when you pulled me to the side and you had to talk with me afterwards, it's like, yeah, I was like, she's 100% right. Like you, like if you're getting coached, like do what you're getting coached. And so
Right.
since then, at the last two shows, like for 3 or 4 shows I've been at, like every time I see the crowd, like big eyes, big teeth, like because I'm my dude, my character. I'll be honest, my character's like Deadpool, and I'm not all there. So I've turned it on, and like now I'm realizing like, yo, bigger, bigger, and always be animated, because that's what the crowd wants to see from you. And I was like, damn, like that hit so heavy because I didn't even think about it while I was in the ring. And the funny thing was somebody else was in the ring being that person, and I was like,
You're
I
talking
def-
about Josh Adams.
yeah.
I love Josh. He is absolutely amazing. And also Patch was another one that was animated. I'm like, okay, I know sometimes when you're given that opportunity, it's actually very overwhelming, because again, you're in a new company and you're now being put into this match, this 4-way that we're doing, for that title. And I look at it this way. Some people say, oh, it's a prop. No, it's not really a prop, because you know what? Those who I feel that deserve it will be wearing it. I'm not into that political bull crap where, because this person has a huge gathering. I don't care. The reason why I put you in there is because you had heart. You had initiative. You have the balls to do what you do, and that's to entertain those people. And that's why I'm giving you that shot to become the first title holder for the HWT title.
No, and yeah, and I'm mad appreciative. And it was funny because like getting like it was cool because like getting that small interaction with Violence and Patch, and like seeing like the work they were putting, I was like, bro, just even that 3 to 5 minute like just short segment. And I think too the other part was we had just came off of like talking about like the thanks to the 9/11 for veterans and first, and so my mindset was still sitting in there and it never clicked. But then like when you brought it
Right.
up to me, I was like, this totally makes a lot of sense. And I was like, duh, like you're in the ring, like be open. And I remember like everybody was like talking, and like everybody was talking, and I was the only one that was just, I guess like for me, I was still trying to understand like, like the whole scenario. So, but no, I was regardless. My point being, I was very appreciative the fact that you took me to the side and you're like, hey, listen, be more like be you. Like you were just in a match, you were just very open, you're very animated with the fans, and I had a hope. And mind you, those kids in the front row were the best.
I'm telling you, they were. I was listening and I'm like, oh my God, they're telling him to like do this. Wow, oh my God. And again, you can either get the crowd to hate you or you can get the crowd to love you. Either way, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I remember like one of my favorite things that happened was, so I was on a rope and I just remember looking out and I was like, help me. And then like I got drop kicked in the back and like I saw the kids' faces. They're like, ooh, but they're like, yo, it was so funny. Did you see what he said? And then I was like, I genuinely, I that's like my thing. And I just genuinely, I find like, yeah, I learned it from some other guys, and they're always telling me like, just find that one person that you could connect, that you make eye contact with, that you just connect with instantly, and then just like play to that person, because everybody around him will play to what he's doing. And I was like,
Right.
that's what I'm gonna
And
do.
children are the first ones to do it too, because just having them looking at you like, oh my gosh, he's actually doing, and a lot of kids, you'll actually, as you progress in the company, in the business, a lot of children will say, I want to be like Red Dog. I want to do what he does. I want to be a champion, or I want to do this. And that's one of the most heartwarming things ever, is to have a child say, and I've had two young ladies come up to me in my entire career and say, you're a badass and I want to be just like you. And I was like, did you just say that I'm a badass? And this little girl, she couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. She goes, yes, you got your butt kicked, but you made it look so freaking awesome. I'm like, thanks, I guess. It's kind of hard to really, I'm like, okay.
I totally get it. I totally get it. I just, yeah, I genuinely, that's like one of my favorite things to do, is just like it's just fun, because it's like you just said, like that kid always comes to you and they're always gonna want to talk to you, and you just vibe with them instantly. And there was I don't know if you remember, but if you went back like 6 or 7 rows at the show, there was an older lady and a younger girl that was just sitting in the back. And the younger girl, every once, like when I was like out, just like out in the crowd, she kept doing this, like looking to the right, because she saw myself just standing there, and she kept looking to the right. And so finally I just walked right behind, and she looked to the right and I wasn't there, and she just went back to staring, and I was on her left. And so she turned and she like jerked back, and I was like, hi. And so
I
like,
did not see that, but that's actually kind of cute, because again, she's like, oh, I know which little girl you're actually talking about, because she had come up to the HWT table, and she goes, that belt is so pretty. I'm like, thank you. We try to make our belts look nice. And right now we're actually working on our women's title, which I'm excited about, because it's a title that I designed.
let's go. Like, if I say anything else on this show, that is gonna, I love women's wrestling. I tell everybody that pays attention, I'm like, women's wrestling sells. And not only does it sell, some of those women out there are like 10 times better than some of the dudes that are ever gonna make the ring. I genuinely like some of the other promotions that are out and around, like I promote like some of the biggest matches, because I'm like, I just genuinely love watching women's wrestling. I get
Right.
It's a better story sometimes. Like certain matches get done, I'm just fully invested in. So I'm definitely hyped seeing that there's going to be a women's division, and that you've got a women's belt made for it. I'm excited.
Well, that's not all though. We're also going to be having a mixed tag titles as well. So because you have all these other titles, oh yeah, we've got the tag team titles. Okay, that's all well and great, but you have to have a mixed title. It's just because if you've got a man and a woman going after another male and female, why not show them the same respect and admiration that you do everybody else?
I feel like there might be a good mixed tag team out there that can compete. Gabby, I know you're listening. My camera's not, but I know you're listening. You know who to call. Anyway, so normally after matches, right, or after like a show, like wrestlers go and like just grab something to eat, and I'm just very curious, what's your post-match meal?
Before or after?
After.
Well, it all depends. I mean, if I'm cooking something like I did for you guys, I try to have what I cook. If not, if I'm really into it, I like going to Denny's and getting like the big slam, or Wawa, and getting something from there. It all depends. I mean, what kind of mood I'm actually in, because it depends. If I'm tired, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna go home. Screw it. I'm not gonna eat. I'm just too tired.
I'm not gonna front. Like if we stop at Denny's, it's definitely eggs over my hammies. Like that's just what I just have to have it. I don't know why.
Now, see, I like the country fried steak and eggs.
Oh yes.
Yes, that is my.
That was my go-to when I was like back in the day when I was in the military, just like drinking all night. Yeah, good chicken fried steak with some runny eggs like all day. Like,
And it's got to have the white gravy. I
yes.
had one time it had brown gravy, and I was like, what the hell is this shit? And the lady goes, oh, it's gravy. I'm like, no, that's not gravy. Gravy is white, and it has chunks of sausage in it or something.
Yes.
And she goes, oh, well, I'll go see if the cook can do that. And I'm like, no, because I don't want my food coming back with spit or something in it. No, we're good. We'll eat it just like this.
Oh,
like,
you have no idea like how many times I tell people, like, because I'm such a fan of the movie Waiting, like I genuinely do not send my food back ever. It could be like if I'd be like, oh, I want a medium rare steak, and the steak comes rare, guess what's not going back to the back? The steak is staying with me, and I'm going to eat it. I'm just gonna go through it. And then like this one time I was in Hawaii, and we had lobster and steak, right? And the lobster was burnt. It was. And and I ate it, right? And everybody's like, why didn't you just send it back? I was like, never. And so when the waitress came to me, she's like, how was the food? I was like, oh, the steak was great, lobster was okay, everything else was really good too. And she was like, oh. And then she like walked off, and she brought her manager over, and she was like, hey, the lobster was okay with him. And he's like, what was wrong? I was like, well, it was burnt. And I was like, but it's it's no big deal, I ate it, it was still delicious. He's like, no, we're gonna comp it to a salad for you, but he's like, is that fair? I was like, that's more than fair. I was like, bro, like I would have just paid full price for this anyway. But
right.
that they did that. But everybody's like, have you ever had burnt lobster before? I was like, had burnt food? Like it's the same thing, but
you can
I'm
still taste it, whether it's burnt. I don't care if it's toast, lobster, hamburgers, whatever.
Dane Cook taught me why not to send food back.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like certain things. It's like what was it? My business partner Dan and myself, we had actually gone out to dinner after we had a meeting, and I had ordered a steak, and there was so much fat and gristle on that damn thing. I was like, I could have used it as a rubber band. I was like, that was just foul as ever. And the young lady comes over and she goes, and I'm trying to cut this freaking steak through the gristle, and she goes, is there a problem? I'm like, just a tiny bit. And she goes, what? And I was like, and I showed her, and she goes, oh my gosh, let me send that back. I was like, nope, no, I'll eat what's left. I'll eat this. It was supposed to be an 8-ounce steak. I got 4 out of that damn steak. And she goes, I am so sorry. She goes, I'll comp it. And I was like, you do not have to. Yeah. She goes, well, then I'm going to give you a free dessert. I'm like, okay, he can take it home with him. And so he was like, go ahead, choose what you want. So he chose something. And he's like, you didn't have to give me that. I was like, it's okay. You can have it. I don't need any dessert. I was like, the steak was okay. And I asked for medium rare to rare because I like the iron and the nutrients that come from them being like that.
Right.
This stuff was so overcooked. I'm like, no, just no. So I'm like very careful what I order anymore.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I can relate. I can relate. So I'm very curious, like what kind of advice would you give to like up and coming wrestlers?
Again, like I told you, listen to your trainers. Do not think you know what everything, because you don't. Even with me being in the business for as long as I have been now, I still learn new things. When they tell you to do something, do not backtalk. Say, well, that's not how I was taught. Again, not everybody's going to train you the same way. So whoever's training you that day, shut your mouth, listen, and do as you're told.
I like it. So you've been around the business for a while. I'm sure you've been in plenty of different locker rooms. And if you are ever the new person, I just want to know one do and one don't of the locker room. I think you got, hold on one second. I think you got muted.
Did I?
Oh, no, never mind. You're good now.
One thing you need to do, and I don't give a freaking rat's ass who you are. If you are new to any promotion, you go and you shake everybody's hand, from the person that's putting up the ring to the referees to the vets. You are a newcomer. You show respect. They do not have to show you respect. And the only way for you to get respect is by showing respect. That is one thing you need to always remember. And also another thing, make sure if you're getting in the ring, wipe your freaking feet. Because that irritates me when people, I don't care if you're the ring announcer, wipe your freaking feet. It's disrespectful if you don't do it. One thing you should not do is be an asshole in any locker room, whether it's somebody like yourself who's just starting out or somebody who has actually been in the wrestling ring. And I've met some big names. I've worked with some big names. So again, never show disrespect to anybody when you're in the locker room. Always be very kind, courteous, and respectful.
I love it. I love it. And you know what the funny thing is, though, is that that's just good life lessons. Like, don't be an asshole.
Right. You know,
nobody
your
likes
parents
that guy.
Your parents always tell you, if you want somebody to be nice to you, you have to be nice to them. If you have a problem with somebody, I understand that, but still be courteous. Don't be an asshole.
Facts.
Because if the booker sees that you're being an asshole, they're not going to want to bring you back. And I've been in a lot of locker rooms where there's been a lot of catty, crappy shit being said. Oh, this person, oh, that promotion. I do not allow that shit in my locker room. If you're in my locker room, you will show respect to everybody. I don't care if somebody spotted wrong. You show them respect. If they talk shit about you outside, I don't care. The minute you walk into my building, you will show respect. If not, this will be your first and only time working with us. Because I will not be able to put, oh, did you hear that this promotion pays this? I don't give a shit. Okay, we don't have a promotion where we have a whole lot of money. Okay, we do it for the love of what we love to do. We do it for the charities we love to do. I mean, that's who we are. We are trying to make sure that we are all family. We're all a family. And granted, some families are dysfunctional. However, you know.
You know what? You did mention, like, right before we started recording. I know, guys, we have all these cool conversations before we start recording. But you did mention, though, like, the last couple shows that you guys have had were all for charities, you know, and I just wanted to highlight that because it is very cool to be attached to something like that and then get to talk about it afterwards. Because, you know, whether it's that one random person in the crowd or it's, you know, like you had mentioned earlier, breast cancer survivor, there's so much cool stuff that happens with you guys' promotion. So I'm very, very honored to just be a part of that whole aura, because as a person who's a veteran, I love giving back, and I love being able to help out communities. So, like I said, I'm so grateful getting to work with you guys in promotion.
Well, again, you were. I'm glad that Nick brought you in with us, because I've known Nick for a few years, and he's a really an amazing man, a young man himself. And to see who he brought with him was a breath of fresh air, because I mean, I've dealt with some cocksuckers in the locker room, and it's like my first show was like, okay, I'm your boss. You do as I tell you, because I'm paying you to do a certain thing. Unfortunately, you'll get some guys and girls that are always into for themselves. They're always trying to get into the business for themselves. Okay. I had somebody tell me that they were going to run the way they wanted to, because that's how they portrayed themselves. I don't give a flying shit if you're a good guy or a bad guy at what other promotion. You're at HWT. If I ask you to wear a tutu with a thong, you better be wearing a tutu with a thong. That's just how it is. I have a specific storyline that I want. And when you screw my storyline, I'm not going to ask you to come back, because then you've screwed everything down the road. And I have to redo everything to fix up that screw up. And I don't like to have to do that. I don't like to be that bitch, as I've been told, because I want things to run smoothly.
I like him. So those are all my heavy hitting questions, but Morgan, we got to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. And people often ask me, well, Red Dog, if this is the second best, what's the first best? It's the Red Dog's power rankings that you can find every Sunday on our debate show. So this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions, and here's how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. Whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
All right, let's do this.
Right. Good. I like it. The attitude's right there. So we're going to put on imaginary timers for added pressure. Bing. And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite color?
Purple.
Morning bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Favorite movie?
Don't have one.
I'm with it. Western or Denver omelet?
Western.
Favorite type of tea?
Earl Grey. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I like Irish tea.
Chess or checkers?
Chess.
Favorite podcast?
I would have to say 3 Counts.
That's right. We don't market this out there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there that says this. Okay, there's nothing there right here. Yeah. All right. Nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
Well, there's actually a lot that I'd like to see on your show. But I would actually like to see you have Layla Herschel. She is a newcomer with AEW. And I actually met her, that young lady, when she was training with CZW a few years ago.
I love the legit Layla Hirsch. She's a badass. Like
she is literally a dynamite. And for her size, she is not one to mess with. I'm like, oh my God, holy shit. I remember when you were starting out.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I'm so impressed with how far she's come.
Yeah, because I remember watching her debut on Dark and then seeing her on Elevation and then seeing her compete for an opportunity to face Camille for the NWA Women's Championship. And to see her compete against Camille, I was like, this is awesome. This is one of my favorite things. So yes, yeah. I can relate. Yes, Layla is that person I would love to have on the show. But last question that I love asking every single person that comes on this show: favorite curse word?
Fuck.
That's right. A good F-bomb is what you need in this world.
Sometimes you look at somebody and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You know.
Bet. Well, those are all my questions. So the last thing I need from you, Morgan, is to let our viewers and our listeners know where they can find you.
Well, you can actually find me on Facebook under Jennifer Lopez, or you can find me on Vampiress Magdalena on Instagram. That was actually my first gimmick when I came into the business. I was a vampire.
I love it. I love all of it. All right. Well, that's it. You guys know what that means. We gotta take it home. We gotta go. This is the finish. So that means this is the 3 Count Presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said, I am your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. You can call me your Sherpa, but like every good Sherpa, you gotta have a person who's been there, done that, and can show you a more efficient way up the mountain. So it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And today you see her right next to me. Very much loves to our guest. You see her, she is the she's the co-founder, she is the booker of HWT Hostile Wrestling Takeover. Give it up for Morgan. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for that outro. You choose another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count podcast, and in there you can leave us a message and we will talk to you. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.